front of the vehicle just went boosh. As it swallowed up the tire, Sadiq then jumped out to try and do an assessment and then realized he couldn't open his door. This is how deep we were. He had to roll on his glass and step out through the passenger's window. I was able to somehow reverse out of this rock. Sadiq said trying to get on the bank. Every time I locked over to the bank, I just slipped right back in. Couldn't get up. Could be my fault, I didn't lower the tire pressures enough. We then tried again and we got stuck again. We were able to reverse out and we said, alright, guys, let's have a mission. Let's try and figure out what we could do now if to proceed. After the second attempt, Sid and I spoke about it. If to proceed, what the track will look like further on. He walked back to his second vehicle to talk to Sayad to find out and get an idea and get Sayad's thoughts on if we proceed along the trail.
I remember the vehicle front left tire going down in a little ditch here, and there were concerns whether or not we should continue proceeding with the vehicles or go on foot. Because there were so many changes in the weather condition and things like that, and there was large puddles, I was a bit hesitant to continue with the vehicles. But we said we'd chance it because there are more than one vehicle here, should in case that any one vehicle needs assistance.
We came to the decision, yes, we're going to try to proceed. So the hole swallowed up a 33-inch tire, so it has to be at least 3 feet deep. Daryl, Aaron and Sid went and found some old branches and placed them in the hole.
To me?
How deep and where it is. Then let's place it by the hole to see if it's a branch or rock and where it is in the hole now.
As we placed them in the hole, we then came to the decision, right, let's try it again. I jumped back in the vehicle. Sid went ahead to give me a bit of spot and a little assurance. I cracked my glasses just to hear Sid in the event of anything. 3 times the charm, let's do this thing now.
Sid move.
Fell down in the hole, bash! I said, oh God, again? So I realized I was getting a bit of momentum, a bit of traction, and you could feel it as I drive it, feel it in the steering, you feel it in your feet. As I mashed and I continued going, it felt the walk, and I decided to jump back out from the track, but those guys did. It jumped back out the hole. As the back came up, I pointed up that hill and I continued and fight and I danced and made its way up. So very right, we're through the obstacle. As we got up the hill, realized we got a flat. We've lost the valve. If it was a puncture, we could have used a plug kit and repaired. But because of the valve, we had nothing we could have done. We didn't walk with a spare valve. Luckily, we have a full-size spare tire. Full-size spare tires on the roof. Still being lightest, I gave him the keys from the van because the spare tires on the roof locked. He ran up onto my roof, unlocked it. Because this vehicle is lifted, and it's not a standard vehicle, and we're not on solid ground, we're in mud, we have a high lift jack. The high lift jack gives you a lot more height. High lift jack or farm jack. The jack has a 4-foot extension. We then hooked it up on the front bumper of the vehicle. The front bumper of the vehicle was designed for this. It's extremely strong and it can take the weight. As we jacked the vehicle up and removed the flat tire, we then brought the spare tire in, put it up, we torqued the nuts down. This being a full-size tire is excellent for us because we can still use 4-wheel drive. So as we changed the tire, Sayad and Drew went ahead continue to go and release the snakes. The objective what we came for, they went and continued it while we were trying to rectify the vehicle's problems.
So while they were trying to rectify the situation with the trying to get the vehicle out, they had to fill the cavity and in the ground there, and for the vehicle to build some height. And in doing so, the valve got broken with one of the twigs on the ground. So that's how the flat came about. So they stayed back to rectify that and change the tire and things like that. This is one thing, we have a very determined and very helpful team that would immediately bounce on everything that we need to get going. So I decided to continue on foot and went further inside to see what the terrain would have had for us in store. So to know if we should continue with the vehicles or continue just on foot, because I wanted to make sure this particular snake, which is the Macrobi valsine, is all the way inside. The further away from human beings, the better for both the animal and even human beings. Although we know they are all found all the way around here, you can find them. But I don't want to be the one to release one out here. But this is not a toy. This is something that's dangerous. Right here we have baby Macrobi valsine, sometimes called the Ferdinands. This one actually is the Botrops atroc, also be referred to as the terciopello. The end or the tip of these tails, right, is either yellow or white or somewhat cream. Now these are the distinguishing marks that one can easily observe from the non-venomous snakes that looks similar to these snakes sometimes, or mimic the color or behavior as they may see, right? So by just looking at this white tip at the end of the tail, in this occasion it's a bit cream, we could determine that it is easily identifiable as a venomous species. The thing about it is, you would think that sometimes it might be the best area to release an animal, but you have to also consider, is the food available? Is the diet available for these animals to sustain them? So having a background of baseline studies throughout the country, we were able to pinpoint areas where we can take the animals in and safely relocate them, where we know they have a great chance, not a fighting chance, but a great chance of survival. Taking these animals all the way inside the forest here, the effort that we would go through or put out to take these animals far away from human beings or civilization or development is always worth the effort, because as long as they are close proximity to where there are any form of urbanization, development, be it commercial, industrial, whatever it may be, we are bound to find human-wildlife conflict. And 99.9% of the time, I am sure, the animal will always end up in the sticky end of the situation. So we would go the extra mile in taking them, and we try our best to educate as much as we can about even the mitigation of these situations. We continue to develop. We need to sensitize ourselves more. They were here before we were. If we are supposed to be the more brighter or the sensible or the more learned species on the face of the earth, we are not displaying it if it is that we're just eradicating everything we encounter.